Non E, the stand-up comedian. By Nameless Saint. How to be happy in the world. It's easier to stay unhappy. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round. Let me share with you the monumental saga of my quest for happiness. Now, one might think that happiness is this elusive butterfly flitting just out of reach. Like trying to catch a cold when it's already chilly outside. But lo and behold, I've found that being unhappy is the true marvel here. It's the easiest thing since deciding to binge watch an entire season of a show rather than folding your laundry. Let me explain. You see, in this grand carnival of existence, happiness requires effort. You've got to water the flowers of your spirit like they're delicate orchids. Sunshine, positive affirmations, maybe even a light sprinkle of meditation. But being unhappy? That's like picking up a rock and sitting down. Easy peasy. You can wallow in self-pity faster than you can say, why is my potato salad a metaphor for my life? Let's talk about the incredible simplicity of staying unhappy. You wake up, groggy and grumbling, and without lifting a finger, you can summon a storm of negativity. It's practically Olympic-level laziness. All you need is one good look at your inbox or the news, and poof, you're 3 movies deep in existential dread and wondering why you don't have an emotional support cat. But then, just as you're sinking delightfully deep into the couch cushions of melancholy, here comes the twist to the plot. Because deep down in this pit of despair, there exists an undercurrent of sheer comedic gold. Yes, my friends, the punchline of life is that I've somehow managed to turn my unhappiness into a stand-up routine. Who knew that complaining about the state of my socks could lead to a solid 5 minutes of laughter? You see, it turns out that the most profound philosophy is often wrapped in a burrito of absurdity. Why be the tragic hero when you can be the comic relief? For every sob story about unfulfilled potential, I counter with a punchline about my inability to open a jar of pickles. Now, instead of wallowing in complaint, I'm the star of my own comedy special. I've learned to embrace my failures with a theatrical flair. Picture me on stage, spotlight shining bright, proclaiming, happiness. I couldn't find it if it were glued to my forehead. So here's the twist, my fellow wannabe philosophers, the more we embrace our uncanny ability to flop around like a fish out of water, the easier it becomes to notice the silliness in it all. I've become the go-to guru for finding joy in the mundane. Turns out, there's comedy in every misstep. Instead of constantly longing for happiness, I've decided to create a pop-up shop of chuckles every time I step on the rake of life. In conclusion, the Manual for Happiness is an infuriatingly complicated read. But the Handbook on How to Be Happily Unhappy? It's a glossy pamphlet filled with colorful cartoons and inexplicably large fonts. So, if you're feeling weighed down by the world, remember, it's easier to stay unhappy, sure. But why not grab that unhappiness by the horns and gallop into the land of laughter? Who knew the road to joy was paved with bad decisions and a rather slapstick sense of humor? Go ahead, let's all embrace our errors. After all, laughing at ourselves is the first step to actually being happy.